Session to order. Thanks everyone for being here. Got a pretty full house for a work session tonight. All right, number one to be discussion regarding the NeoGov platform, an update by Hannah Noonan, our HR director. Hey, Hannah.
Good afternoon. Just wanted to give a quick update after the last meeting. I had a PowerPoint for y'all. The main point of concern was price. We went back to NeoGov and they were able to decrease our 3-year quote. So year one stayed the same at $11,965. Year two, they decreased us down to $14,503, and year three down to $29,007 for a 3-year total of $55,475. So that gave us an additional $7,200 in change in savings on the 3-year subscription. Thought y'all might also just want to know, in our shopping for the system, we did look at 2 other companies. One of those for a 3-year total was $86,800 and change, and another one for a 3-year total was $119,900 and change. And that third one was limited to only safety topics. So there was no compliance, there was no professional development. With NeoGov, we're getting professional development, safety, and compliance. For professional development, they've got around 700 or 800 currently in their course catalog, different courses that you can take, and about the same amount for compliance and safety. They also increase that catalog every year and work on that library.
Well, I want to ask you that, Hannah. So the class is actually offered through this platform, or they're just accounting for who took that class with that platform?
Those are actual classes that are on the platform
Those are
videos.
offerings.
Yes, and
So
then
I know that some employees take more classes than others. I mean, I have a similar situation. In my day job, I probably do 15 to 20 courses online every year, and it's annual certifications.
Yes.
So what does your typical employee look like? The one that may need that training? Are they 3 or 4 or 5 classes? I'm still trying to get an idea of the scope
I
of
would
this
say
and why it can't be done
the minimum
by the
would
manager
be
or by hand.
the minimum would be 5, I think, per year. That's going to include, but it's also going to depend on the level of the employee. So a supervisor might have to have more extensive training. So you could say 5 courses, but maybe the total number of hours would vary for each employee in each level. But then it would go up. You know, you've got safety training, so every department has a variety of safety topics they can cover, one month by month, or they can add on to that. We've got drug and alcohol, as well as harassment and discrimination training that every employee has to do, and then professional development. So you can kind of whittle that down into departmental or performance-based if they need some improvement.
So it'll give a reminder when it's due, track
Yes.
who's done,
Yes.
let their manager know that it hasn't been done, and to
Correct.
send them a nasty email and say, you haven't done your training yet, right?
Yes. In addition to that, if we're tracking their certifications as well, like CPR instructor, it would remind them that their instructor certification is about to lapse. They need to renew it. And so that way we don't find ourselves in a position of having no CPR instructors on payroll. So it would, employees can go in and add their certifications to that library as well to help keep up their own personal profile.
Does it go down to the level of part-time?
Yeah.
Like lifeguards? They
Yes.
need their certifications and things like that?
Every employee.
Questions, council? Questions? Good.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, committee updates. Councilman Martin? Councilman Conyers?
No update, sir.
Councilman Robinson?
No updates.
Councilman Boone?
None for me.
I just have one airport authority. It's more having to do with the airport than the authority itself. But the runway, I believe, was closed today. The main runway was closed for repairs. They've upgraded one of the taxiways to be used as a runway while they're reconstructing the runway or strengthening the runway. It's supposed to be closed for 30 days. We'll keep our fingers crossed for good weather. I mean, if they can do it in 30 days, it'll be amazing. And then when that's done, they will take the existing taxiway that's being used as a runway and tear it back down to a taxiway. They won't allow us to keep that as another runway, which is amazing. They don't spend a lot of money to tear up what the improvements were. So, go figure. That's what we have to do. And most of that's paid for with grant money. So that's the only committee update that I had. So department head updates, when you give updates, if you will go through your agenda items as well. This should go pretty quickly today.
All right, I have 16 and 17. Number 16 is a resolution approving us to purchase a 3-year subscription for NeoGov Learning Management System from governmentjobs.com, doing business as NeoGov for a 3-year cost not to exceed $55,475.64. Okay. Number 17, this is a resolution. This is just renewing an extension of the contract with Long's Human Resources Services. They're currently providing temporary employees to supplement our existing workforce. It will include the following departments: Adult Recreation Special Events for $5,000, Streets Department for $18,537.47, and Landscape Department for $99,694.80. for a total of $123,232.27.
This was all budgeted, right? These were
Correct.
all these labor costs were put in the budget?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, we can go back to that. Sure. One of the questions Marcus had about NeoGov was, and you might have to correct me on the language, was the liability cap.
Yeah, in that contract, there's a very terms and conditions link, and in those terms and conditions, they had some stuff about limitation liability and also indemnity provisions. We got them to erase the indemnity provisions, but the caps on liability go to what you've spent so far, your payments that you made. So if you make $1,000 worth of payments and they screw something up or something happens, their liability is capped at that $1,000. We normally require $1 million with our vendors and anything like that where they've got liability that we can go sue them, but we can only recover what we pay them so far. On this platform, I don't know exactly what kind of exposure that they typically have, so it's kind of one of those things that we normally push back and just say absolutely not, and we try to go get an amendment to where it's limited to whatever their total policy is. If they've got $1 million policy, we'll limit our exposure, their exposure to us for $1 million. But they wouldn't do that on this. They said, no, we only do what the payments are. They kind of came back and said, no, it's a hard metal on that. So it's something you've got to weigh. You've got to know what you're getting into. But I wanted to make the council aware that that was kind of one of the issues that we had. They're backing up on that, and we told them that initially told them that was not an option we would entertain, but they said they don't do that. So I don't know.
And I'll cover this real quickly. The employee data that's in there is limited to their name, their job title, and their date of hire, and the courses they've taken. So we're not housing personal information in the system. So if there was a data breach, I imagine it would be their name and their job title and the courses that they've taken.
Are they offering any of the courses, from what Jack said earlier? Are they providing the courses actually?
Yes, yes.
Would there be, well, I'm trying to just see where the liability would be in that.
And that's why, we normally just, it's a blanket no. You've got to have either your policy limits or, we leave that out of there. But they capped it, and that, now that I'm on the law, that if you contract and it's capped at what you pay, that's what you can only recover from. And I don't know what kind of exposure they would have. It's kind of one of those,
I'm looking at you for
Yeah,
this.
and
I'm
I'm
not
trying to
seeing the
think through
exposure.
it. Yeah, I'm trying to think through it myself. I mean, if I'm remembering correctly, I mean, there are some services that can limit you only to recovery of the amount of services paid. I mean, I'm thinking of a law school example of the security. Yeah, I mean, and so, or security monitoring. I mean, your security system doesn't work and somebody robs you blind, you can't sue them for all the stuff that got stolen. You can sue them for the value of the contract. And so that'd be, I mean, I'm not seeing liability here outside of, I mean, if we're taking training courses on here, I mean, any negligent training or supervision would not be something we could pass off on them anyway. It'd be a city burden regardless. So I don't like anybody that doesn't want to follow the normal rules that we abide by in these contracts, but
I felt like y'all needed to know that before you
I don't-
made a decision about it.
yeah, I don't see the issue. I mean, I don't see an issue here for this particular software, but I appreciate you letting us know, because
Questions, concerns,
I
Jimmy?
don't really see the liability either, but
So we would have to
Abnormal.
sign it on their terms, right?
With the indemnity provisions out, that provision would still be in there, though.
There were other things that they were willing to take out, to
Right.
remove.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the only provision left in.
I don't think there's a whole lot of risk there.
I don't either, but I didn't want to surprise anybody with something.
Sure,
that-
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right. Okay.
All right, good afternoon. I have 18 on here for approval for our lighting of the trees package, our turnkey for equipment, stage, sound, labor, and audio for our annual tree lighting celebration on November 20th, 2025, and it is a budgeted item, so any questions, concerns, I'm here to answer them. And I think Richard's going to follow up with a few things on the Welcome Center, and I can chime in as well for some things we're going to discuss in the work session. But on tree lighting, Chuck Johnson, who actually just did the Live at 5 show, he's great to work with. We've been working with him for a really long time, but always does a great job at the tree lighting.
I believe this event's less
3
than
weeks
4
away,
weeks away.
yeah.
Been hot.
Well, it's just, where did the year go?
I know, November's Saturday, which kind of is crazy. So. Any
All right,
questions?
nope,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Good evening. My agenda burden is pretty light tonight. I am here to cover agenda item number 6. As you'll recall, back in the early summer, we had a work session with the folks from Taylor Oak subdivision that has a little small road up north of town called Dovecote Lane about the discussion of acceptance for maintenance. And part of their requirements was to resurface that road at their expense and correct all deficiencies and then have a vote of their POA. And they have done all those things, and you have before you a formal resolution requesting acceptance for maintenance. I know Mr. Lewis and another one of his members is here. If you have any questions, they're very excited. The paving contractor did a really good job, and I appreciate everybody's hard work in making this happen, and I'll be glad to answer any questions, and you're more than welcome to call upon the POA president as well. The other item, as you know, y'all have been very good to us to budget for and plan for an envelope project on the Welcome Center. And just not to get into the design, I will get in that in a minute, but kind of give you the idea of our schedule is our goal is hopefully to have bids open and bring them to you the first meeting in March so that by the time the contracts are done, we're ready to go to construction following the Arts and Crafts Festival just to minimize disturbances in the Central Business District. But we've been very fortunate to work with Brooke Rodriguez-Feo, the architect from GMC, who has probably 6 or 7 iterations of facades, and this is what kind of the working group has come up with, and I put you a copy. I will tell you from I think George and I, from a maintenance standpoint, is the whole building envelope will be redone. It will be a cementous hardy board type siding system. It will retain what we think is a very important architectural feature, the balcony, but it will be more structurally sound and self-supporting, as well as I believe this iteration gets us some coverage of the upper balcony that gets the weather off those French doors, which has been a problem of water intrusion, rot, and things of that nature. Mayor was very good to ask to continue with the shutters up and down, and we really think that kind of preserves that look we're going for. And we're just excited to be at this point where they'll finalize designs, and we'll have those out for bids at the first of the new year, and you'll get to see those in the first quarter. And Brooke, would you like to add anything? she's just good at doing what she does, so she doesn't need to talk about it. But we wanted to share that with you. Here's the good news is, we're not asking for anything tonight, but if there's any comments that you want to give, we've still got a little bit of time before we're putting final plans together, but wanted to give you an update that is moving along. And I know from a maintenance standpoint, to be able to seal up that building and retain the importance of the aesthetic is something we're excited about, and I think it's really a good look that we've landed on. And I'll be glad to answer any questions or concerns, or you're welcome to talk with our visitors tonight representing those two items.
Richard, I want to ask you again about you got any updates on the sidewalk on Parker Road?
I don't want to get the cart before the horse, but yes, we had some email traffic last week that indicated that AlDOT has everything they have to do, and I did receive back I believe, yes, we did receive back the CMA sign, so I believe that is done. Right, we got that back, didn't we? So everything is done, we're just waiting for project authorization, and basically what that allows us to do is to put it out for bid, but we're not there yet. So.
And that's AlDOT that has to give that?
Yes.
Okay, so we can lean on them Wednesday when we're in the meeting?
Okay, yes.
Maybe?
Never hurts.
Okay.
All right.
What about the sidewalk that the homeowner or the builder of that home has built? Are they going to have to rip that sidewalk out?
I don't think they would have to. I mean, I don't know if this was just one of those things is that the builder's so used to having to put a sidewalk in as part of construction, they just did it, and no one thought to say, well, it's not required because you're participating, your developer participated in the cost for the master sidewalk, which is going to run on the north side. Ultimately, I don't think it's necessarily a negative. It's just.
Okay, so it's going to run on the north, it's going to run across the street from there?
Yes, that sidewalk will be 100% on the north side of Parker Lane.
Won't be affected then?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
It'll just be a sidewalk to nowhere?
for now, but you never know. We may end up with one on the south side one day. Got to start somewhere. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Right.
Good evening. I have agenda item number 7, which is asking for y'all to reject the bids, all the bids for Tent City. We really only had one vendor that met all the qualifications for what we were asking, and we don't feel comfortable being our first time doing this, comparing prices to.
Please describe what a tent city is for the audience so they don't think that it's a city for immigrants.
It's basically when a storm or natural disaster comes in, and you see like in Louisiana and Florida, whenever you have all the power companies that come in and help, then also if it gets bad enough, it has opportunities for our employees and for residents for housing. It's a tent city. They come in, they have restrooms, living quarters, showering quarters, laundering quarters. What else am I missing? Food. All of the above is encompassed into one project depending upon how bad the storm is.
Hadn't we reserved the Methodist Church CLC for this in the past? No, we never had that for housing?
No, in the past, for any mutual aid, we have utilized local hotels. But in the event, we would use this in the event that there was a storm that came through that was so catastrophic that the hotels weren't even operational. So you bring these companies in. EMC has used them in the past. They come in, they set up a whole, like George said, a tent city where you have laundry services and food services and sleeping quarters and everything else right there in that one tent. Also, we don't really have a place to house employees. We are hopefully going to have a safe room at some point, but right now we don't have a place to house employees that is hurricane rated. So even our employees can stay there if they need to. But this is only in the event of a catastrophic storm that we can't work with our local hotels and those kind of things to set something
When
up.
we get the safe room completed, our employees can stay there.
They can. It will hold 100 employees, and it'll have laundry services. It'll have a generator. It'll have a kitchen. It'll have cots, those kind of things. A big open room, basically, where our employees could stay.
And then we will only need this for mutual aid.
That's correct.
It's
And-
just something, I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say it's only needed if we had a storm. This is it's the same kind of bid that we do for debris contracts, those kind of things.
Do we typically get FEMA reimbursement for that?
Correct. You would.
And it's being it's our first time ever putting this out for bid, we didn't feel comfortable just looking at one quote. We want to put it back out there to get more so we can compare to see where we're at.
Every time we go on storm, we try to bring back something different, and this is what we've noticed. We've slept on cots and everything else, but this is getting more popular, tent cities and the campers. So we got with Royal Engineering, and they're trying to help us at least put a plan together when it happens. Just we'll have something in place. And it's hard to evaluate one bid, so we all got together and decided to reject it.
Again, hoping we never have to use it.
Right.
Absolutely.
All right.
And then I also have agenda item number 12, which is the repairs to the fire truck that was in the accident at Nichols Avenue. That is, we received the check from the insurance company actually today. So, what's that? Anyways, we received the check today, and whenever we get through with all the labors and incidentals that go along with it, we'll obviously submit it back to them.
And who's paying the deductible for that damage?
Do not know the answer to that.
We are discussing with the fire department that they might possibly pick that up, so we're still in discussions on that. Since it's an at-fault, this is less the $5,000 deductible, so that will still have to be paid. And I think there's a few more things that are being negotiated, like the towing and those kind of things, Lisa. Right, once we get the invoices. So that's not finalized as of yet.
And that's it.
For what it's worth, I'll just say it, is I think the fire department ought to be responsible for the deductible. They wrecked the truck.
That's it. Thank you.
Good evening.
Evening.
I'll be covering the water and wastewater agenda items this evening. 8 through 11. 8, I've already talked with Marcus about this. It looks like that's going to be outside of the bid law, so I would recommend we just strike that one unless there's something I don't know.
Pull that one.
On 8?
Because that'll put us over the 100 grand, so. Number 9, that is clarifier maintenance at our wastewater treatment plant. It's a yearly item. $25,990. It's basically repairs for the fuzzy filters and the secondary clarifiers. And number 10 is for preparing our, what is now our drying beds to become a parking spot for our new belt press contract. That's $23,300. And then number 11 is concrete testing. Basically just making sure all the concrete meets all the material requirements for the contract they have going on out there for our new headworks at the wastewater treatment plant. And that would be Mayor Sullivan negotiating that contract amount.
Council, do you have any questions regarding items 9, 10, or 11? I'm anxious to see how this sludge removal and pressing goes.
Yeah, that could be really good for the city. Hopefully we save a lot of money on it and decide to go forward with it. Oh, definitely, yes. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I have a few items on the agenda. Item 13, we're asking to declare surplus on an old polygraph instrument that is still in good working condition.
So we just don't use it anymore? or-
We actually upgraded that equipment last year.
Mike could use that during council meetings to hold people accountable sometimes. On both sides of the stage.
What are you trying to say?
And sometimes, people don't always tell the truth.
Quarrel on a lawyer, isn't it?
That's how I know. That's how I know.
Item number 14 is also requesting to declare surplus on our current firearms. We're wanting to trade those in on new firearms, and those were actually put in the budget.
Is that quantity 60? Is that what the 60 is?
That is correct, 60.
Questions for the chief there?
All right, item 15, we're going to update, we're just asking to approve and update our current reserve list, officer reserves, to add these 3 individuals.
How does that work with the police department reserves?
We currently only have 3 reserve units, and they come in and they volunteer their time, and they actually work with an officer when they're here. All right, and the last item is an application for a wine off-premises license for 3 Arrows Meat Company, and everything checked out fine with that.
Everything's in order there?
Yes, sir.
We don't need to spend a lot of time on that in the meeting.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, chief. Right. So we've got just public hearing, which we will discuss in the council meeting, and then we have the resolution for the rec department. Mary, you want to cover that real quick? Okay, please.
So this was actually brought to our attention by a resident, a request that we approve for Fairhope residents over the age of 65 to be allowed to use the indoor track at the Fairhope Recreation Center with a no fee, as long as they are residents, and they would have to show proof of residency. This is something that we did before COVID, and then when COVID happened in 2020, that privilege was really taken away, and we started charging folks. Currently, we have 120 track memberships that are residents. And again, this will just be similar to them being able to use the walking track at Mike Ford Tennis Center or anywhere else. It'll just be an indoor, something that they're not out in the weather, and something that we can do for our senior population to allow them to use that. The track's not overburdened, so it's not putting a burden on the city. And again, it's not much, not money that we can't absorb in the budget. So happy to be able to do that if we can.
Yeah, I have one question on
Okay.
this. This says over 65. Did we mean 65 and older?
Yeah, they
think
should be
the intent
65 and
might be
older.
65 and older. Like,
and
make that
older,
change.
or and over, 65 and over.
Yeah.
And again,
Residents,
they will have to
65.
show proof of residency, which is the same as when you get your landfill sticker. You'll have to show your Fairhope Public Utility bill and also a vehicle registration.
While we're on the subject of tracks, I just had a question about the outdoor track
Mm-hmm.
at Founders. Do we have any feedback from how often that's being used and what kind of hours of operation that has as far as when it's accessible?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's being used not only by the schools for track meets and for training, but by citizens as well. I think Corey can probably attest. I think he's probably out there quite a bit. I mean, there's a lot of people using the outdoor track. We pretty much have it accessible to at least 10 o'clock at night. So, and people are using it early mornings and late at night. I mean, because it's lit and it's, again, a nice, safe place for them to walk. So, I wouldn't say there's hundreds of people out there every day, but I would say, you know, there's a good handful of people using it daily.
And one more thing on this resolution, Mayor, you said 120 people have the track memberships, but not necessarily all of them are 65 and older.
That's correct.
That was
That's correct.
total.
That's total,
Okay, so
correct.
it would impact less than.
We had, 120 total track memberships that are track memberships only at the gym, and 15 out of area, which would not qualify. But of those 120, I can't give you a breakdown because we don't ask for age. So I can't tell you how many of those 120 are over 65, or 65 and older.
Right. Is our pastor here? Oh, he's here. Awesome. Let's take a 5-minute break, and we'll come back and we'll get started. Pastor Dave, about 5 minutes. All right, thank you. Ask everybody to take their seats, please. Okay, if I can ask everybody to please stand for the invocation. Tonight's invocation will be given by Pastor Pat Davey with the Eastern Shore Presbyterian Church, and I'll ask you to remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir.
Let's pray together. Gracious God, we thank you for the beauty of this time of year and the way that your creation tells us about you. We thank you for cooler temperatures, for high school football, outdoor concerts, community gatherings. The beauty of this place, oh God, reminds us of your beauty, your goodness, your power, and your wisdom. And in your kind providence, you have placed us here to bring you glory and to serve and love our neighbors. I thank you, Father, for the city council and for the fact that they acknowledge you in prayer at the beginning of a meeting like this. And your word tells us there's no authority except from you, that those who govern are your servants for the common good. Thank you, Father, for the gift of civil government. Thank you for those who serve this city. Thank you for Mayor Sullivan and Councilman Boone and Burrell and Conyers, Martin and Robinson. And we pray that you would give them tonight wisdom from above. We pray your blessing on their families. And we ask, oh God, that as they lead, that you would give them integrity and courage and humility. And as they deliberate tonight, may their decisions continue to do what they have in the past to promote justice and peace and the true flourishing of this community that we really love. And Father, where there's disagreement, we pray for patience and respect, and that all that is done, all that is said, would reflect your righteousness and bring you glory. And we pray this in the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, whose perfect life and death on the cross and glorious resurrection is our only hope for a right relationship with you. In his name we pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Davey. We appreciate that. Always a pleasure to see you. Okay, council, we are pulling item number 8 from the agenda, and just also want to point out that item 19 in that resolution should state Fairhope residents 65 and older. Just a couple of little minor changes to the agenda. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the October 13th regular city council meeting and the work session.
So moved. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. You have any additions, deletions, changes to those minutes? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Okay, those minutes are approved. Thank you. Mayor Sullivan, your report, please.
Thank you. So tonight, I just have a few words to say about Councilman Boone and Councilman Martin, considering this is their last meeting. Want to thank them for their service to the city of Fairhope and just tell them how much I've enjoyed working with them throughout the years. But just to put in perspective, I wanted to go over a few things that they've accomplished or things that have changed since they took office. I'm going to start with Kevin, since he's the most senior member, right? More seasoned than Corey is. So when Kevin took office in 2012, just to put in perspective, our budget overall was $64 million compared to the $190 it is today. Ad valorem tax was $4.2 million, and today it's budgeted at $11.9 million. When I was going back through some documents just to get a good comprehensive list, one thing that stayed in the budget every single time was cast iron replacement. In 2012 or 2013, $25,000 is what was listed for the design of the cast iron replacement. Wes, you want to tell us what that is today? Correct, for the whole thing. Well, this was just designed for one phase, but you can put that perspective. We have done, since he took office, we have done one upgrade to the wastewater treatment plant in 2014, and now we're on our second one. We have built the soccer fields, the floral clock, the community park, tennis courts, in tennis court expansions, pickleball courts, Arts Alley, Gaston Plaza. We've done over $20 million of water improvements, several roundabouts, the Veterans Memorial. We finally have started the cast iron replacement. We're on phase 2. Flying Creek Nature Preserve, the waterfront, 2 electric substations, and I could go on and on. We've had hurricanes. We've had Hurricane Nate, Michael, Sally, Zeta. So you can see all the things that changed just in that short period of time since 2012. But Kevin is my go-to for anything water and sewer, anything construction, drainage, and so much more. So thank you, Kevin, for your service. We appreciate it. And then... And then, of course, Corey is in his first term. He is, of course, our first African-American on the council, and which I know he's very proud of. He has brought just a diversity to the council, but also a heart for serving those who are less fortunate. He is always working with at-risk children, and again, just does so many great things in the community, and just appreciate his service as well. And just in the past year, the past 4 years, things that we have done that Corey's been part of is, of course, Gayfer and Twin Beach turn lane and signal improvements, Fairhope dock improvements, Haven improvements, Arts Alley, Founders Athletic Track, which he championed, Quail Creek pickleball courts, South and Place ADA sidewalk project, the Clock Corner, Gaston Plaza. We've done all kinds of improvements at Quail Creek. We've had tons of utility improvements with water and wastewater, 2 new electric substations, and then, of course, cast iron replacement in the gas system, but continue to do all kinds of great stuff over the past 5 years. And Corey, thank you for your service. I think one thing people don't know about all of us serving together is when you're serving, you work so closely together, but you learn a lot about each other. You learn about families, and when you're sick, challenges you're going through. People probably don't know that Corey fosters children. So we have all gotten to know each other, become a family. So Corey, thank you for your service. And in recognition of that, we're going to host a little reception after this in the foyer. And we also have bricks that we're going to be placing out in front of City Hall for each of you to commemorate your years of service on the City Council. So I have these for y'all. And also we'll have your portraits in the lobby that you can take when you leave. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. All right. Next item on the agenda is public participation for agenda items only. Just recall there will be another opportunity for you to address the council on non-agenda items at the conclusion of tonight's meeting. Item number 5 is a public hearing, so if you want to speak to item 5, we'll let you speak when we get to that agenda item. So if you'll forego that on your public participation. If you want to address the council on items 6 through 21, you can come to the podium and state your address and name for the record. You'll be given 3 minutes. No one? Okay, I'll close public participation for agenda items. We'll move on to council comments. Councilman Martin.
Well, since it's my final one, I just want to thank everybody for the time I've served here, especially the employees, of course, my my constituents here, my guys. I've really enjoyed the time that we've had spent together. We've done a lot of good things, and I know you guys are going to continue to do good things. I love each and every one of you, and I just want to say thank you.
Councilman Conyers?
Yeah, I guess, just kind of keeping on that theme, I just want to thank Councilman Boone, Councilman Martin for their service. You know, as the mayor said, we really do become like a family up here. Gotten to be really close with these gentlemen and think the world of them. You know, they both bring a different perspective to the city council, and I think that, I like to think that y'all and we have left the city better than it was when you found it, when you arrived here, and I just appreciate your friendship very much. Feel like I'm a better person for having worked alongside both of you and gotten to know you, and I just value the friendship and would ask don't be a stranger. You guys around, so thank you.
Councilman Robinson?
I don't have anything. Just kidding. Just kidding. It's easy to talk about the things that Kevin and Corey have done while they've been on the council. And there's been a lot accomplished, especially Kevin in the last 13 and Corey in the last 5. But the gifts that both of these guys have given to this community far exceed and started long before they ever got in this room. Their involvement in the community and all the good that they've done and will continue to do. I've seen with Corey firsthand long before he and I ever decided to run for council, and I've seen it with Kevin since we've been in here, and I've learned so much about him sitting by him the last 5 years. And so it's truly been an honor to serve with you guys doing this. This is just see you later. I'm sure it's not goodbye. We'll see you guys around, and I'm sure you will both stay involved in many ways and be here, show up, and keep us accountable for all the things that we need to be doing. So thank you for your service.
Councilman Boone?
Well, I guess it's a good thing the mayor stood up and said all the stuff we've done, because I forgot most of it. And, I would like to say, though, it has been an honor and a privilege to serve on this council for the past 13 years. And I would like to thank each member of this council for their friendship and all that they've done for me and the mayor. And best mayor I think we've ever had.
For sure.
I would like to thank them for the continuing friendship that we're going to have far after this. I'm going to bother the fool out of them, so they just will get used to that. I would also like to thank all the city employees and the heads of the departments for their hard work and the ease to work with in making this city a better place. I truly feel I am leaving this city better than when I first came into office 13 years ago, especially since the mayor told me I did. But it's all due to the workforce and its leaders that have gotten this city to be where it is today. I would also like to thank my wife, Karen Boone, for helping me through her love, advice, and support. I would like to wish the incoming council all the best and good luck for the future. And in me, you will find a lifelong champion for the great city of Fairhope. And to quote Augustus McCrae, it's been a hell of a party. Thank you very much.
You know, I've said it many times. When you sit in this seat, you don't get to say much original because all the good comments have been taken. So, Mayor, thanks for sharing just a few of the accomplishments that both of these gentlemen have been a part of. And Councilman Conyers, you said it first, and I wanted to say it, and I mean this, and it means just as much, even though you've already heard it, I hope, is that the city is better off because of you two. There's no doubt. And Kevin, I mean, you were the mayor of the Woodlands. I went through there like 2008, and you were the mayor of the Woodlands, and you were volunteering your time long before I knew you. And we won't recount the story of the first time I met you, but that was quite a treat. There was a campaign event, and Kevin knows what I'm talking about, but there was somebody that made some comments, and I was standing right next to him. Anyway, long story.
Jack did very, very well.
Yes, he was surprised that I kept my cool there, but I did. Anyway, and Councilman Martin, you know, as Jay pointed out, you were involved in this community long before you were a council member, and I know that you, because you're much younger than Kevin, will continue to stay involved for a long time. And Kevin, you told me don't call you with anything, but you know you're kidding, and I know
Anytime you want.
we've been a lot of places together on city business, and we've had a lot of good times. And but thank you both for your service. It's been a pleasure to serve with you, and I respect both of you dearly. But thank y'all. Thank you for your service. Enjoy your time out of office. Okay. All right. All right. With that, I'll close council comments, and we will move to item 5, which is a public hearing of an ordinance amending ordinance number 1253 to consider the request from the City of Fairhope Planning and Zoning Department for amendments to the City of Fairhope zoning ordinance. I believe that we can, it's advertised that we would start this, this agenda was advertised, that we would start immediately following the work session unless announced otherwise. Are we good with that?
Yep.
Attorneys and clerk? Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to present this. There's a lot of edits. I think the overall document's over 100 pages. So I'm going to present this as we did during the Planning Commission, and just kind of summarize within the slideshow. I do have a full copy of the red line document that's been available for a couple of months for review, if we need to pull that up. This is just a little background. This is not taken lightly. This is through the comprehensive plan that took a few years to get through, conversations with City Council, Planning Commission, staff, and our legal counsel. There will be more amendments coming. Some of those are going to be in response to the ones we're making today. In short term, we also have budgeted this year to start a rewrite and revisit of our regulations. So actually hiring outside counsel for that and working through that. In summary, there's kind of 10 sets of amendments I'm going to go through, or 10 categories. So I'll kind of hit those highlights. And if we need to go over anything in detail, I can stop now, or we can wait till the end if there's questions or comments. One, there are changes to a site plan review requirement. That is a certain application within the zoning ordinance that requires a review of currently buildings over a certain size, 10,000 square feet, whether they're implementing impervious surface limits, and if it's as tall, reaches the height limit. We are adding some specific uses to those. As you know, a site plan goes to the Planning Commission for review. They make a recommendation to the City Council that looks at aesthetic things. Are they handling how it's impacting neighboring properties? So we added some specific uses to those. Those are shown in the bullet points. That's mixed-use buildings, convalescent nursing home, automobile service stations, and automobile repair, recreational vehicle parks, and hotel and motels, and entertainment venues. And that is in addition to those buildings over 10,000 square feet. So this will be an additional list. For clarity on some of those things, we did want an extra set of eyes on. There is a limit currently. If you're building in Fairhope, there's no limits on your impervious surface. Theoretically, you could build a house, and even residential, and fill the rest of the yard in with concrete. That can certainly create problems, especially in our older areas where there's not master detention and stormwater management. So we did, this has kind of been discussed for years, but most of the residential districts, we have a maximum impervious surface added, and that's here in this category. That will be reviewed at building permit for compliance. And that will, in addition to the buildings, that will include driveways, sidewalks, things like that. We have also added 2 recreational zoning districts, and this kind of came up, I think originally when we were the first early phases of the Flying Creek Nature Preserve. This is common in most places where we have parks, even privately owned golf courses. There's zoning districts that correlate with that. That's one level of protection. When something is zoned that way, it doesn't change its use without coming to the city council. So we need those zoning districts in place. We're not proposing as part of this to rezone anything, but it's to create the recreational, Rec 1 active recreation and Rec 2 passive recreation zoning districts. 4, we have a special category for townhomes, and it has special conditions of lot sizes and density, and we provide the clarity on those lot sizes and added, right now, there was not a maximum density for a townhome complex development, so we added those requirements. Same with multifamily apartments. We added a special conditions section that deals with the specifics, maximum density, lot sizes, setbacks, and the like. Mixed-use buildings. We have mixed-use buildings referenced in a few sections within the current zoning ordinance, such as the Medical Overlay District, Downtown Central Business District, as well as other commercial zoning districts. We attempted to create a standard that applies to all areas for mixed-use buildings. And one of the things we've seen and was really recommended is the ground floor in a mixed-use building is commercial. I think we were getting some postage stamp size. Here's a 200 square foot commercial space, but everything else is residential units. So right now it is written as 90% of the ground floor will be commercial. And then we also added standards to determine the maximum density allowed within those dwelling units in a mixed-use building. 7, we did amend the PUD requirements. Just as I know we've talked about a lot of these before, even in a work session or planning commission, but the one statistic that kind of shocked us, how much of the city is actually zoned PUD. We did include the TR district in there. It's a similar zoning district, but 26% of Fairhope is a PUD. The PUD is intended to be a creative design development, and it's maybe a subjective statement, but I'm not sure all 26% of those PUDs meet that criteria. So we did add a limitation on the zoning districts allowed within a PUD and limited we stated that commercial is actually required within a PUD. The acreage, it was increased from 3 acres to 5 acres was one detail, but those were relatively minor with the acknowledgement, and I'll mention we did talk in a work session, and I think some of the comments is we don't have an opportunity to do a mixed residential development. That's something that's on our to-do list, and we're talking through and working through as a future amendment. The village districts within the zoning ordinance have been in place since 2005, and we do not have any properties nor any development that's ever actually used those. We took those out, or proposing to take those out, while we reserve the space for future edits to accommodate some of those long-range goals in certain areas or nodes or even corridors within the city. But for now, we are proposing to take those out in their entirety. The use table, a lot of conversation happened on this, but preserving, right now, single family or dual family, depending on the zoning district, is allowed in commercial districts. And, I think it's a maybe trend sometimes you look at. It's easier to develop residential right now than commercial, and we're seeing a lot of commercial zoning being utilized as residential, and taking that residential out as a use was an attempt to preserve some of the commercial. One of the things we will follow up on that we recognized, when you're dealing with short-term rentals and lodging uses, there will be another use that we'll have to bring back in to accommodate some of those things.
Can you go back?
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
So mixed use is still allowed, and wouldn't that include residential?
It would, but it's not a just residential. It still has a commercial component.
Is that, I can't tell what that symbol is, or what is that symbol? Is that going to be by appeal, or is that going to be by right?
So that epsilon means there are special conditions. So the section we talked about before for special conditions, when you're doing a mixed-use development, our building is actually what our mixed use is. It's a mixed-use building. That would refer to that section that gives the specifics.
Would you explain the philosophy behind that? I mean, was it the philosophy that we didn't want to take up, say, you don't want to take up your downtown area with houses and then have no business district?
Yeah.
But if you do mixed use, you can do both.
You can accommodate those. So, and I think we've never allowed, or I say never, at least in the time period that am familiar with our zoning ordinance and research, we've never allowed the multifamily, just apartments in downtown, but certainly acknowledge there's a benefit to people living downtown. And the way that was accommodated for was mixed-use buildings that provides the street-level retail, commercial, restaurants, while allowing a limited dwelling units above that. And historically, you kind of see some 2, 3, depending on the size of the lot. I know we've had a few projects in front of you and some denied because it was trying to skirt some loopholes on what that mixed use was. So this is hopefully clarifies that, gives people a level of predictability on the front end, what they can do. That standard does have a density level that we didn't have before. That put a cap on the density of the number of dwelling units. So that is, I think, critical to a downtown to keep the commercial. If it gets eroded by only residential, you don't have a reason to go to our central business district. And being the heart of Fairhope, as we define, that's worth preserving. So some of these are the attempts to preserve those things and have a predictable level of development.
Residences in the CBD, are they just non-conforming, and what's the?
So that would make some non-conforming. Most of the ones right now are used, and one of the things we will have to deal with, a single-family home. We do have some folks living downtown as a single-family house. The majority of them are being used as short-term rentals, so are almost commercial in nature. This would help, we would certainly need to define those lodging uses better, which we've kind of discussed, and that's ongoing. But for the most part, yes, that does make that use non-conforming. So if that ceases to exist for more than 6 months, if we don't change something else that would give better clarity, then yeah, that would have to be converted to commercial. I don't think we have too many of those, but that's true.
Houses on Church Street.
Yeah, we do. A lot of those have already been converted to short-term rentals on Church.
Hunter, accessory dwelling, what is this? I'm looking right up under the mixed use.
So nothing changed with accessory dwelling. We struck, the ones you see struck through there are the village districts that we're getting rid of in its entirety. So you see all edits to the use table to accommodate the other amendments being proposed. So when you look over to the far right of that table, you see those struck through. That is the VRM, NVC, CBC. It's just every use is stricken through those districts. And then definitions, there were some added definitions. I'll be, one of the, and I'm highlighting a few here. Building height has been, throughout the comp plan, one of the biggest things, I would say, consistent critiques on what we've done. When we changed the definition of building height, 2016, it was right before my time, 17 maybe, that resulted in taller buildings, and that's been some of the critique just the way you defined it. What we proposed here is going back to, that was a lot of the requests. We need to go back to the way we were. Not saying that definition is perfect. I think you've seen some critiques on that definition.
I want to hear what we're going to go back to, because I was thinking of some heavily contoured lots that, I was worried about.
Yeah. And, I think even if there was one item within all of these proposals that I might even recommend we separate out into another ordinance, go back to the drawing board, whatever you want to say. Most of these are about development. And you passed an ordinance 9 months ago that said we're going to pause some applications, and there's been enough warning for some of the developments. No changes are coming. The building height affects people that are designing homes, and we might not know about those. So even on that one, I'm a little uncomfortable implementing that rule with an effective date. If you so choose to approve this next council meeting, 10 days after would be the kind of default effective date of these amendments. So building height may be something we even consider pulling out into a separate ordinance. And if we need to better define those, to put it simply, what the previous definition was, it looked at the front of the building line and measured to the very top of whatever was there. So the highest thing. The amendment in 2018 changed to you begin measuring at the average elevation of a lot, and then you go to the mean roof height. Didn't really clarify what the average elevation was in all senses, so that if we keep it at currently average elevation, then we certainly need to be more clear about what we're meaning in that, because that's created some challenges where on slope lots, people could build a 13-foot high house, essentially.
Less.
So I know of one where you couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So what's the issue, remind me again, what's the issue with starting with the definition the way it was before, where you measure from the front of the home or the building and go up from there?
I don't think there's insurmountable. We've heard some critiques that was even not clearly defined, and not being here, but what I've understood was it was kind of an interpretation that kind of means the front door. Well, if they're a house with not on a corner, that's pretty clear. If you're on a corner, you're on a slope lot, you're on a multiple building commercial project, that starts getting a little trickier to interpret. But I think the end result is, the intent of that is, what does it look like from the street? That's what our height's really trying to accomplish. And I think we can easily make some tweaks to that definition and get to that end result.
Well, ultimately, whatever we do, we want it to be as clearly understandable to everybody involved. We want there to be as little interpretation as we can possibly get. And so just as a non-builder, non-architect, non-engineer, when I hear somebody say from the bottom of the front door to the top, that's how you measure height, that seems to be the simplest. But obviously there are.
At the root of it, sometimes it's what are you trying to accomplish? Because I think one of the biggest challenges are you worried about what the lot looks like before somebody comes in and starts designing, or after? So if it's a slope lot, do you want to take into account what that lot is and what's adjacent to it, or after somebody comes in and brings fill and raises the ground and now they can build taller? The root, that's kind of, are you basing it on finished floor elevations, or what do you want to accomplish there? Because you can change where that front is,
right,
where you start measuring from just by bringing fill.
So you can't
You're
define
facing
it.
the bay is at the front, the rear.
Right.
Yeah.
So
They do it to suit whatever they want to build.
So could you not get specific and define it, even using the topography, in different situations from experience?
I think we can come up with a better solution.
Yeah, I don't like it. Let me give you the example. I was walking my dog the other day, and it was in an area that will eventually have a few houses, and I was on this lot, and I'm telling you, it was flat, went down 10 feet, came out 50, 80 feet, went down 10 feet, went out, and came and dropped 20 feet. So if you're building at the very bottom of that lot, and you say you're building X amount of height from that average elevation, you could build a 60-foot house there. I mean, and that is the problem with that,
Yeah.
the way it's written.
And it's, the inverse of that happens if the road, if the lot's sloping.
And if the inverse of
opposite
that
way.
happens, you can
Right.
only build a 8-foot tall house.
Right. And what we've done, I will say, and it's been, through planning commission, I think we even had a conversation here. On some of those, we've said we'll measure that average elevation at the footprint of the building that kind of adjusts more. But at the end of the day, I think we can have better requirements under this. If you want to pull this one, I would recommend it probably be in a separate ordinance anyway with a different effective date. Do y'all have a, did I explain that one?
We can always table something. We can and when you get through talking, we need to introduce this, and it won't be voted on tonight, but we can always table, talk about it, actually reintroduce. But I would suggest having something simple that says the maximum height measured from the lowest part of the building to the highest part of the building. Get it now? I mean,
Yeah.
that can't get much more clear than that.
The trick is the lots.
Right.
That's where you start measuring from.
Right.
So is the concern
The
that,
bottom of the, wherever that is.
building to the
If
top.
you've got a split level and you've got a story below part of that grade, that counts.
You wind up.
Think about it. I'm just
Yeah,
saying,
yeah,
that's a thought. Okay?
If you have more than, in an area that only allows 30 feet, and there are some lots that have more than 30 foot of fall across that lot, you really can't build a house on. So if you're saying a 30-foot height limit and the road, and the lot slopes away from the road, has more than 30 feet of fall, then if you're gonna measure from the bottom, the top of your house is gonna be below
Could
the
something
road.
like
You would
that
have
come forward to the Board of Adjustments?
We try not to for those variances, but we could probably set it up that way. For a hardship type variance, I wouldn't recommend that, but I think there's some simple ways. I think we can accommodate.
I'm not tracking that. I'd like to see a drawing of, let's say that house is 100 feet wide. I'd like to see a 30-foot drop from one side of that house to the other. That's
No, the
our front
lots.
to back.
If the lot,
He's talking
Yeah,
about
but
the
that's
topography of the lot.
It's irrelevant if you're just measuring from the lowest point of the structure to the highest point of the structure.
would that be
Sitting on a
before
hill,
they
it's gonna
fill?
sit higher.
Do you have a preference there? Are we talking after dirt's brought in, the pad's created, kind of the finished floor? Because that is the way some people handle it. Don't consider what's brought in.
That would be my,
Yeah.
that's what I meant by the topography. After you get your baseline or your foundation, then that's what, whatever the topography is, we.
Slab to the peak of the roof?
Yeah, from slab to here, if you're sitting on a hill,
on a
then,
slab.
I mean,
There,
you know.
some of those concerns, and I think I don't want to even bring any specific ones, but there's some neighborhoods where you bring a lot of fill in, you can get 10 more feet. And then you can build a basement under that. That's not seen, as long as that's, not but you might be, 20 feet taller than the other houses around just by bringing that fill in on even level lots.
I think that we even have some soil disturbance type ordinances to address that as well.
Not currently.
But we can, it's complicated, but the simplest way to measure is lowest point to highest point.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if that number needs to change, plus or minus.
Yeah.
That's,
And this definition is pertinent to multiple zoning districts. So some might have a 30-foot, some might have a 35, or Central Business District has a 40-foot. So it varies on what the actual dimension is, just how we measure it. But depending on what you want to do, we can certainly provide some alternate definitions and more clarity.
And procedurally, council, I just want to let everyone know, keep in mind, we make any substantive revisions to the proposed zoning ordinance, we need to go back through the advertisement process. Because that would give the opportunity for them to come back and, if there were some comments on the proposed changes, another public hearing process, which is certainly fine. We can do that. I just want to make sure everyone understands process isn't like a normal ordinance you'll have, because this is specific to the zoning ordinance. If we make a substantive change, it needs to go back, be re-advertised, and come back. So just keeping everybody in mind with that.
So that's the summary. We do have the full ordinance. If there's anything to discuss or questions, we can pull that up. I know it's public hearing, so I'll sit back
Somebody
unless you
introduce
have
the ordinance?
questions.
I'll introduce the ordinance.
Let Councilman Martin take that one. That'd be the last time he introduces an ordinance in this term. Okay. All right, we're going to go ahead and open the public hearing. If you'd like to speak on this proposed amendment to ordinance number 1253, if you'll come to the podium and state your name and address for the record. You'll be given 3 minutes.
Hi, I'm Mac Walcott with Walcott Amsterdam Architects, 1 South School Street. I appreciate y'all having the ordinance tonight and this public forum. And we sent y'all an email that had some of our concerns. I don't know if you had a chance to read it. I don't know if we want to go through them tonight, but there were we make these comments really thinking about our clients, because when changes in ordinance are made, it's very complicated. It's always a confusing time. And so we looked at them and thought, what would have the most impact on our clients? And so the 4 that we listed that we'd want you to consider, and we can go into them in detail, or y'all want to talk in greater detail with Hunter in a meeting later. There were 4 areas: the building height definition, which we just talked about a good bit. We include in our email examples of how 4 adjacent communities do it, and it seems to work. And I would ask us all of these things we're going to talk about tonight, what problem are we trying to solve? Are buildings too tall in Fairhope? I know there's some comments about different houses with the steep pitches being too tall. Well, let's just think about that for a minute as we do that, because each of the things that the 4 I'm talking about ultimately allow our clients, your constituents, to get less, to be able to do less on their site. So we're taking away something from them with each of these, and I want you to, let's all be cautious about that. The removal of the residential use from the business district is interesting to me, because my old house is on Fairhope Avenue. It's a rental property now, but you go down Fairhope Avenue, and as one of y'all mentioned, there's a number of fine old homes that are in the business district, and I'm puzzled a little bit about what will happen to them over time, because if the owner wants to continue to use them as a house, and they need to add a bump, and the bump is, if it's within the setbacks, is it viewed as I don't know, are we increasing the nonconformance when I add a bump to grandma's house? We have a big discussion in town about preservation. Some of these older homes need to be encouraged to be preserved instead of being declared a nonconforming use. So I'm not sure what problem we're solving there with that one. The limitation on the mixed-use designs is interesting, because these are difficult project types, these multi-story buildings downtown. They're complicated. There's a ton of ordinances already that deal with them. And basically, this is this amendment would shrink them a bit and and particularly with the floor area ratio in the smaller lots downtown. So if the intent is to have less yield from the properties, this would probably succeed that. And my question about all of these that I'm mentioning tonight are in a direction of the landowner getting less out of their property. I'm wondering where that intention comes from, if it's in the comp plan or if it's something I'm missing. I know we're all concerned about growth in Fairhope, but I would suggest
Keep going.
Yeah, I know we're concerned about growth, but I would suggest that reducing the ability of homeowners to do different things on their lot is not, it won't solve growth. They'll just probably increase prices, to be honest. The maximum impervious area on residential lots is, as Hunter mentioned, a lot of that's a function of the lack of infrastructure that the city has. So do we go down the road of increasing our drainage capacity in the right of way, or do we put it all on the lot owner? The elephant in the room for all of us who've been here many years are the substandard lots in the fruits and nuts section. There's a constant discussion about the size of the homes being there, and at some point we ought to recognize them because it's it's our history, they're our lot size, but we routinely say, oh, this doesn't conform to R2, so therefore blah, blah, blah. Let's go ahead and be a little bit more creative about that part, and I think we raised some issues about existing impervious area too. So all of these were just in the spirit of wanting y'all to take your time and look at this before you adopt it, and we'd be happy to meet with any of y'all to discuss it in greater detail. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mac. Anyone else for the public hearing? Okay, we'll close the public hearing, and we'll let this lay over for future consideration or any other action that we may determine that needs to be made on this. All right, item number 6 is a resolution. The City of Fairhope hereby accepts the use of the public forever the road for the use of the public forever the roadway Dovecote Lane as built from the back of the curb to the back of the curb, and the drainage in the easement as shown or lie in the exhibits attached, and you have that in your books, council, or on your computers. Furthermore, this acceptance for public maintenance includes only the roadway, which would be Dovecote Lane, back of the curb to back of the curb. I think I already said that, right? Shoulders, drainage, landscape, yards, drives, et cetera, from the back of the curb outward shall remain private and not be under the maintenance obligation of the City of Fairhope. And as Richard pointed out in the work session, this was brought to us, I think, back in June, and we had agreed that once the improvements were made, that we would accept this as a public roadway, and I believe that he stated they did a fine job on that, and everything should be ready to go. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to accept the use of the public forever.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. All right, the motion carries. Thank you, council. Thank you, guys, for taking care of that for the city. Okay, item number 7 is a resolution. The City Council reject all bids to procure services for disaster relief services known as the Tent City 2025 and authorize the rebid of the annual contract under the Code of Alabama. As Mr. Ladd pointed out in work session, they would have a lot of experience with this. They received one bid, and they would like to see some more bids come in before deciding on paying that cost. I'll entertain a motion to reject the bids. Okay.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Okay, that motion carries. Thank you, council. Item 8 has been pulled from the agenda, as mentioned at the beginning of the meeting. Item 9 is a resolution the City of Fairhope vote to approve the annual clarifier maintenance and materials for the wastewater treatment plant from Parks Incorporation as a sole source distributor, and authorizes procurement based on the option allowed by the Code of Alabama with a cost not to exceed $25,990. Just routine maintenance and materials.
Approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. All right, that motion carries. Thank you. Item number 10 is a resolution. The City of Fairhope approves the award of the request for quotes for concrete work at the wastewater treatment plant for the belt press to prime professional concrete pumping and finishing for a not-to-exceed project cost of $23,300. This is a public works project that is less than $100,000 and therefore does not need to be formally bid out. We'll just say that we had multiple bids on this. I don't entertain a motion to approve the award.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. All right, that motion carries. Thank you, council. Item number 11 is a resolution. The council approves the selection by Mayor Sullivan for professional engineering services for concrete testing at the wastewater treatment plant to Geocon Engineering and Materials Testing, Inc., and hereby authorize the mayor to negotiate the not-to-exceed fee to be approved by the council.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. All right, that motion carries. Thank you, council. Item number 12 is a resolution. The city of Fairhope vote to approve replacement of the body and tank for a fire truck from Sunbelt Fire as a sole source distributor and authorizes procurement based on the option allowed by the Code of Alabama. Cost estimated at $304,679.40. And I will point out that that will be covered by insurance proceeds less deductible.
Got to be more careful.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the replacement of the
So
body.
moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, let's not do that again.
Hope not. Okay, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, that motion carries. Thank you. Item 13 is a resolution. Certain items are declared surplus. The mayor and city treasurer hereby authorized and directed to dispose of the polygraph equipment owned by the city of Fairhope by selling it to a licensed polygraph examiner in the private sector or to another city municipality through direct sale. And as the chief pointed out in the work session, this was replaced by newer polygraph equipment last year.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion, 2 seconds. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, that motion carries. Item 14 is a resolution. The mayor and city treasurer are hereby authorized and directed to dispose of the firearms, quantity 60 Glock 17, Generation 5, owned by the city of Fairhope, by the following method: trade-in for a credit towards the purchase of new replacement firearms through an authorized law enforcement dealer.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Chief, was that expense included in the budget for the new ones? Okay, cool. All right.
Now, Council President,
Yes,
we
sir.
had a couple of citizens, I'm just going to bring it up just out of respect, that wrote an email about this. And Chief, these guns are not going into the community. I just want to clarify, these would be going to a dealer that's a certified dealer. No way that anybody could get their hands on this other than this dealer, correct? All right, amen. That's all I want.
And they should have a pretty good bit of residual value as well, I would think, so
I just want
should reduce the cost. Okay, we have a motion and a second, Ms. Clark? Okay, thank you. All right, any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, that motion carries. Item 15 is a resolution. The City Council approves the following list for the Fairhope Police Reserve: Justin Rogers, Drew Craze, and Alan Bishop. And they've all been at it a good
So
while
moved.
now.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, thank you. Item 16 is a resolution. The City of Fairhope approves the purchase of a 3-year subscription for NeoGov Learning Management System from governmentjobs.com, doing business as NeoGov for a 3-year cost not to exceed $55,475.64. This was discussed by Hannah in the work session. I do want to make you all aware, excuse me, is that these, if we did not determine that it was being used enough after a year, if we did not put this in as a budgeted item, there's a clause in the contract that we could get out of that. And I believe we also had a discussion with the city attorney concerning the liability, and it seems to be that we were not that concerned. Okay. I just want to point a couple of those things out. All right. Do we have a motion to approve the purchase?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Okay, that motion carries. Item 17 is a resolution. The council hereby authorizes Mayor Sullivan to execute an extension of the contract with Long's Human Resource Services to supply temporary employees to supplement the existing workforce for the following departments: adult recreation and special events at $5,000, the Streets Department at $18,537.47, and the Landscape Department at $99,694.80 for a total of $123,232.27. These services are exempt pursuant to the Code of Alabama, Section 41-16-51. Hannah also pointed out the need for these, and I believe that we've been pretty happy with the Long's Human Resources and finding the employees for which we have a harder time filling. Some of these, even we have a lot of turnover on, and they're just more adept at finding us employees. And there are budgeted expenses as well. So I'll entertain a motion to authorize.
Move.
Okay.
Second?
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, that motion carries. Item 18 is a resolution. The City of Fairhope approves the procurement of the 2025 Lighting of the Trees stage, miscellaneous equipment, and labor to Sound Associates, Inc., with a total not to exceed cost of $13,000 for the City of Fairhope's Lighting of the Trees celebration on November 20th, 2025.
So moved.
Second?
Motion and a second to approve the procurement. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. All right, that motion carries. Item number 19 is slightly amended from what was written. The City Council hereby approves that Fairhope residents 65 and over be allowed to use the indoor track at the Fairhope Recreation Center with no fee. All currently paid memberships will remain in place until the renewal date for the same, with no refunds, and that proof of residency and age must be provided in the form of an Alabama state-issued identification card, which is a driver's license, for example, and a Fairhope public utility bill showing garbage charge or a vehicle registration showing city ad valorem taxes. Anyone participating must sign in at the front desk prior to using the track for each visit. Entertain a motion for this approval.
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Okay, that motion carries. All right, item number 20 is an application for a wine off-premises license by Charles Jameth Hilburn of Three Arrows Meat Company LLC, doing business as Three Arrows Meat Company at 19670 Greeno Road, Suite 5 in Fairhope, Alabama. The chief spoke to this in the work session, said everything's in order, it's been vetted, the paperwork's ready to go, and no reason to deny this application, so I will entertain a motion to grant.
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. That motion carries. Thank you. Item 21, appointments to the Rec Board. The nominees for a 5-year term are Robert Jernigan and Jared Richardson for a term ending October 2031. I'll entertain a motion for those appointments.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Good job, guys. All right, any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. All right, that motion carries. Public participation, if you have anything else to bring forth before the council, you'll come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and we'll give you 3 minutes.
Gustavo Duay, 219 Orleans Drive. Good evening. For once, I'm not here to talk about the library. I know this is Mr. Martin's last meeting as a city council member, and I'm here to say thank you. Over the past several years, I've had the honor to watch Mr. Martin fulfill his civic duty with utmost decency and grace. Mr. Martin, I've seen you be thorough. I've seen you ask questions and engage with Fairhope residents in a compassionate manner, and I've seen you be a leader. But what's most important is how you have inspired me to follow in your footsteps and serve this community. Thank you for thanks to your encouragement, I now actively volunteer with local organizations in hopes to make Fairhope and Baldwin County a better place. And I'm not mincing words when I say that I would not have gotten involved in my community had it not been for your encouragement and inspiration. I'm proud that you have represented me on this council, and I'm proud to know you. And let me ad-lib just for a second. Let me just say that if you did not get reelected because you stood up for the rights of marginalized people, then I'm glad you did it anyway, and I wish other people would have that courage. Mr. Gammon, I don't really know you. I just met you a second ago, and I have complete faith that you're going to do great. I look forward to working with you, but just so you know, you have very big shoes to fill. Corey, I look forward to continuing to work with you. You will be missed. Thank you.
Okay. Floor is still open. Is there anyone else? If not, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, we're adjourned. Thank you, gentlemen.